This week we're moving to the interior of the boat. Right here amidships is where the ring frames are installed. The ring frames are where the shrouds and about where the mast is, and so the ring frames are very important structurally to the hull. We are giving the ring frames a creative dual purpose this week. My name is Matt. Follow along as I turn Duracell, the legendary ocean racing sailboat, into a comfortable cruising home. These are the port side ring frames. We are turning them into what I hope will be functional and attractive cabinets, as shown here in my CAD drawing, though this is only a rough sketch. All right, we're getting down to finish work on the interior of the boat, and one of the last projects to do is build the cabinets that are going to go in here in the ring frames. These ring frames are what held the previous chain plates. So there's some spots where the giant chain plates were attached to. We need to keep these intact in the boat. They're still very important to the structure of the hull, especially since we have our new chain plates in this area as well. So I'm not going to be changing the frames themselves. I'm just going to build some cabinets into them so that this space can be better utilized. This aft one is going to be a hanging locker, this middle one is going to be big drawers and cabinets, and this forward one is going to be some shelving. I'm excited for this project as this is another one of those areas that have been staring me in the face for a long time unfinished, and so it's going to be great to finally make a change here in the boat.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would marry a foot model.
Who, me? All jokes aside, I am pleased to introduce the sponsor of this episode, Camel City Mill. We know that a lot of our viewers are trade workers, and we think that these socks will be of interest to you. They sent me a few pairs of socks recently, and I've been wearing them non-stop. These are merino wool work socks that keep my feet dry and comfortable during the workday on Duracell. They wick away sweat 35% better than cotton and polyester, and thermoregulate to keep my feet cool during the summer and warm in the winter. Good socks are really valuable to me. I want socks that keep my feet warm and dry, that don't get holes, and that keep my feet from getting sweaty. And these socks do that. They're made of a proprietary blend of merino wool that's spun in a way that is 2 times more durable than regular merino. And they're US made in North Carolina. If you need a little encouragement, here you go. Camel City Mill has a 10-year durability guarantee, which means that if you get a hole in your sock, in the first 10 years, they will replace them for free. Click the link below the video to get 10% off my favorite work socks from Camel City Mill with code Duracell10. The first step, as always, as you all know by now, is yes, sanding. All right, I spent the afternoon sanding this area down where these ring frames are and where I'm going to be building the cabinetry that's going to go in here. And so the next step is I like to draw out in the area where I'm going to be building something where pieces are going to go. And what I use mostly is my laser level. This thing is extremely handy for finding straight level lines, especially on curved surfaces. This space is especially difficult because I would like to build cabinets that are going to span across bulkheads. The laser can't obviously shoot through the bulkhead, and so I'm trying to find ways to translate one plane on one side of a bulkhead to be the same on the other side of the bulkhead. So, and I'm using my plumb bob here as well, but what I'm finding now, and I haven't done this before with this thing, is that it actually shoots straight down too. It's not necessarily level, but it's a straight line. And so that's what I'm doing right now, is just drawing out my lines. So I'm going to be building a wall across the bottom here. And I would like that wall to be in the same plane all the way across these 3 bulkheads along the top of this stringer. I'm just hot gluing my laser level up to the overhead to shoot a straight line along the stringer. I'm trying to make the cabinets look as though they're all in the same plane, even though they're separated by the ring frames. It's just getting a partial line on this one, but that's enough for me to find exactly where I want that line to be. So it's a good starting point for me to start drawing out the rest of the cabinetry. Now I got this bottom line drawn, and I need to draw the vertical line that goes up the bulkheads. And I can't use this line from this laser to draw that because it's not actually leveled. And so what I got to do is reset the laser to draw these lines. Now that I have the bottom line as a reference, I can use the laser level to find the forward and aft edges of this plane. For each side of the plane, I lined up the laser line with the line drawn along the stringer and traced the laser up the frame. The hardest part is getting the laser line perfectly matched with my reference line. I've got 3 sides of this piece drawn along the the 2 bulkheads in the bottom. So now I got to find the top, and I figured out where the top is going to be in this area. And so I'm going to take my laser and put it on a wall over here and match it up with that mark on that bulkhead, and it will fire a line inside this space to make the top of the cabinet on this side. So I've got this laser lined up with the mark on this area.
I just fell. Let's try that again.
So I've got my laser lined up with the mark on this area, and now it's translated over to this area, this middle section. And so I'm going to go ahead and mark out where this is going to be where the underside of the horizontal piece of the cabinet will be. I made a little mock-up of what the corner of the cabinet will be. There'll be a tiny little overhang so that I don't have to put a handle on it. That overhang will be the handle. You can put this up to the wall and make sure that it fits.
This is a very delicate procedure.
Well, the more accurate I am in this phase when I'm drawing it out, I spend less time fiddling and futzing when I'm fitting the pieces in. Yeah, when I'm accurate doing this, then the templates become more accurate, and then the pieces that I cut from the templates are even more accurate. Once I had the lines drawn, our friend Alex came over to help template the bottom drawers in all 3 compartments. Templating in this boat, in my experience, has been typical of most boats I've worked in that almost nothing is perfectly straight or square. This means that accurate templating goes a long way to reduce headaches later in the building process. great to have a helper during this process because I can cut out pieces while my helper does the templating. I'm trying to work through my scraps of foam core glass, and this is a good project for that. So Alex templated these lids. I'm going to fit them in, so if they don't fit, it's Alex's fault. Cool. Nice. Awesome. These are my shoebox cabinets. So I have a little hinge there. I think that'll work pretty good.
Open that one.
All right, now these lids have all been fit onto my bottom cabinets. This project has been a bit more difficult than I anticipated just because these bulkheads separating them, it screws up all the lines and everything, and these bulkheads are not parallel to each other. Those two are parallel to each other, and these two are parallel to each other. This one and this one are not, and that's because these were in line with the mast because these held the cap shrouds, and so the mast is raked at 3 degrees, and so these bulkheads, these ring frames, are angled at 3 degrees. There's a lot of weird lines coming together. Anyway, I got the lids fit on. They're pretty cool. It'll just be kind of a little shoe cabinet or something like that. There'll be a hinge on the back here. The next thing to do is create the cabinets that go above them. On that aft one, it's going to be a big hanging locker, so it'll be an easy just door. And that's already a square space, so that one should be relatively easy. This one will be a lot more difficult. The plan is to build a couple drawers on the bottom half and then a big cabinet on the top half. I'm doing a cabinet up above because it would be more difficult to look into a drawer that's high up. I suppose I could get one up here, but I would rather just have cabinets that open up and we could have baskets or something on the inside that hold stuff. And this forward section is just going to be shelving. I'm not a cabinet maker. I'm trying to learn, especially with this foam core fiberglass. It's a little bit different, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Before I could start building the upper shelves, I got some help gluing in the bottom shelves. Alex came over in the morning to help. You're having too much fun. Too much fun. That evening, my mom helped me cut, fit, and glue in the lids of the lower shoebox cabinets. Okay, we're gonna glue these parts in now. I'm just gonna use my Thixo Pro from Total Boat and just putting in a bead on each side of this. We'll come back later and fill in the back sides, but this is just to glue them into the boat. You'll notice baby Alder in a lot of these shots. That's because Yanni, Duracell Project Video Extraordinaire, is also his primary caretaker during these days. Of course, he's only brought in the boat if there are no toxic fumes being used. He sure has a lot to say about my fiberglassing techniques.
Hey, Alder, can you say Duracell? It's pretty close.
It sounds like Duracell.
I think so.
The cabinet spaces above the shoebox cabinets were another tough project. I needed to build a frame that would contain the cabinet and square up the opening that a door would be mounted to. Again, my laser comes in very handy to find the lines that will be templated later. The frames I built in 4 pieces each, instead of cutting out a larger piece and then cutting out the middle for the opening. Once all the pieces were cut out, I went ahead and edge banded all of them, which is a lot easier and faster on a table. And then glued the frames together on the table to make sure that they are square and all in the same plane. As you can see, I used blocks hot glued to my table as cleats to make sure that the frame is glued together in exactly the right shape. You can see that these frames are now glued in. The reason that I built these frames is because these two ring frames are not parallel to each other, and they're also not really straight either. There's a bunch of reinforcements all over them, and so they're not in perfect planes or anything. So when I install doors, this frame kind of makes it all square, makes it a little more pleasing to the eye once the door will go on there. So the frames are done, and the past couple of days I've been templating and building the shelves, so I'm going to fit those in for this final time. Let's go ahead and do that. Cool. So you can see that I have not built any drawers, and that's because I just decided it would be too difficult. It would take way too much time. I'm trying to get this interior done by the springtime, basically, get it all painted, and I would spend a couple weeks building drawers into these very, unsquare cabinets. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, I built some shelves. We're going to have some baskets that will go in these shelves, and so we'll just open the door, the cabinet door, once the door's on there, and pull out a basket. There'll be little fiddles on all these shelves. Yeah, and I think these bottom sections will turn out to be really good storage. I'm not sure what we're going to store in here, but yeah, there's plenty of space in there. Oh, hello. She's not happy to be doing inspections on cold days. And as a reminder, this space is going to be a hanging locker, so there'll be a door on this one, so we'll be able to hang jackets and stuff in here. And then this cabinet over here will not have a door on it, just because it's so narrow already. I think they look good, and happy to be moving on to the next project.